Hi friends, I've been on YouTube for over 10 years and I've spent my time reviewing and testing out thousands of eyeshadow palettes. So I decided to go ahead and round up my favorite palettes of 2024 so far. So if you guys are nosy about eyeshadow palettes, if you love eyeshadow palettes as much as I do, highly recommend subscribing, turning on the bell so you're notified every time I post. And let's get to talking about eyeshadow palettes, my favorite. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. My name is KARENHARRIS. I like to film tan girl-friendly makeup videos here on YouTube. And I also have a monthly giveaway, so check for the link in the description box and go ahead and enter. I'm giving away some eyeshadow palettes this month, so hopefully you guys are excited about it as much as I am. It's just a small way for me to say thank you for all your support. Okay, so some brands I have multiple palettes, some brands I just have one palette. Let's go ahead and talk about one that I haven't talked about in a while. Simply Posh Cosmetics was a little quiet at the end of 2023, but we have this new palette called the Coastal palette, and this is available for pre-order on their website. I do believe these are going to start shipping quite soon. I saw an update recently on their Instagram, but this is a beautiful summer palette. I feel like the name Coastal is perfect. We've got the beach, we've got the water, we've got the sand, we've got the ocean. We've got everything you need for a beautiful neutral look, or if you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, you can use those pops of blue. I really like the Simply Posh formula. It's a very soft, thin matte, but it's very buildable, and the metallics are beautiful as well. They do foil nicely. I love how they organize things in a gradient. I know some people love that. I know other people love a more confetti layout, as one of you called it in one of my videos. I thought that was a great way to describe a more chaotic layout, but I know for some people, they love to have things laid out for them. So you can treat them like 6 pans, you can treat them like a 9-pan palette, you can treat them as a trio, you can do all kinds of stuff with these layouts. So I think that's fun. Also, these are magnetic, so you can rearrange the palette if you so choose. Either which way, a really cute palette from Simply Posh Cosmetics. Also, a lot of the brands I do have codes with, so if I have a discount code with the brand, I will flash it on screen. I will also put a number on screen and link everything in number order. So if you see a palette you like, write down the number, and any information I have about restocks or anything, I will put in the description box or in a pinned comment as well for you guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about a group of palettes. Now this is the Lethal and Avatar: The Last Airbender collection. So they came out with 4 9-pan palettes, and not all of these are my favorite, but I feel like I can't talk about one without having all of them here with me. So this is the Water palette. I think this is stunning. I really like the look I did with this. Honestly, the looks I did with each of these are some of my favorite looks this year. This green one, I don't even think I have to say much more about it other than look at that shade. That is like the greenest green eyeshadow I've ever seen. Love it so much. The formula of these are probably the best formula I've seen Lethal do personally, and I've tried a lot of their palettes. Super grateful to them for sending these my way. This is the Fire palette. Oh my gosh, I am so here for like a sunset vibe, and this is just chef's kiss. I love this look. I love wearing red eyeshadow. I think it looks so good with my skin tone, so super duper love this one. So that is why I'm mentioning all of these as my favorite palettes of 2024 so far. I will say the one that I feel like I couldn't care less about is the Air palette. This is just a little bit of a jumble for me. It does have beautiful shades, but I think you have to do a little more mental gymnastics to figure out like the combos in this. I mean, if you kind of cover up this red and like this more multi-chrome shade, you do have some beautiful neutrals, but this one I could have lived without. But I was talking about all 3 of them, so I decided to talk about Air in here as well. But the 3 that I showed you, Fire, Earth, and Water, so good. Best palettes from Lethal Cosmetics that I've ever tried in my opinion. Okay, so the Moonshroom palette from Lunar Beauty is probably one of my favorite color stories for 2024. I just love that this is like spicy neutrals. Now, if you are a true neutral lover, you might be looking at me like I need to get my head examined, and I get it. These aren't really the most neutral shades, but we have a little bit of neutral sprinkled in. I'm a sucker for a good like poopy green shade. And I just think this is kind of grungy, but like not all the way grungy. But it's also like a little neutral, not all the way neutral. I'm actually wearing the Beauty Bay Botanical palette on my eyes today, and this one's kind of reminding me of that one, except this one has some even more deepening up shades, and I kind of love that for me. So yeah, overall this, and look at the packaging. Like, I feel like Manny always nails the packaging, and this is an indie brand. I mean, I try out a lot of indie brands, and I feel like for an influencer-owned indie brand, they just have superior quality, and I feel like he should be very proud of his brand producing such high-quality products. Okay, you're gonna see at least 2 Nomad palettes in this video. I have to talk about the Ireland palette, of course. I mean, one of my favorite indie brands made an all green, well, okay, not an all green, it's a half green, half neutral. Well, it's mostly greens with a sprinkling of neutrals. Either which way, I love green. I want to go to Ireland so bad. I finally caught up on a few cheesy movies that had been on my Netflix queue for months. For me personally, after having 2 littles, I usually use a lot of my spare time to work on my YouTube channel and very little time spent watching TV, catching up on shows, but I love movies. And so I spent a little time catching up on cheesy movies, and I watched the Lindsay Lohan movie that's based in Ireland, and it's so cheesy, but it's so beautiful. Like, Ireland is so beautiful. I want to go so bad. But all of that aside, this palette is also so beautiful. One of their best formulas, just gorgeous mattes, beautiful shimmer shades, and the packaging is iconic. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the Sigma Cool Trails palette. Now, you guys know me, I love color, so you might be surprised to see the Sigma palette, but I think they just did such a good job creating a great workhorse palette. I feel like I always review palettes as like a color lover, but every once in a while I clue in on what's going on in the real world, and I'm reminded on an almost daily basis that people don't always have a ton of time to sit and do colorful eye looks, and this is just such a no-brainer palette. I remember Simone saying that she created this palette as duos. Simone is the owner of Sigma Beauty. She is so kind, so beautiful. She's an icon. She is a doctor in veterinary science, and then she started this business. It's a whole thing. But I got to see her at Creators and Friends, and that's when they showcased this palette, so it has a lot of special memories attached. And I just love Sigma. We all know this. Love the brand, great brand. They're a Midwest-based brand, which makes me so happy because there's literally no brands up here that I really know of that are as big as Sigma, so shout out to Sigma. I know. I'm so passionate about women-owned brands and immigrant-owned brands because I'm an immigrant, so I could sing praises about them all day long. But this is a stunning palette, great worker palette. I was talking about this in a rankings video, and I was like, this is a great palette for somebody that's busy but just wants to put themselves together. I love that Sigma includes a brush in their palettes. I feel like that is something we took for granted for so long, and now I don't really know any brands that put eyeshadow brushes in their palettes. Like, ABH used to do that, but a lot of people hated those brushes. I really thought they were fine, but the Sigma ones are actually like really good. They're soft. They're not as scratchy as the ABH ones. And when I talked about that in a video, one of you guys actually commented saying that you wish that Sigma would sell the brush individually. So I was able to get in touch with somebody at Sigma and pass on the feedback because I was like, that is so random, but if I was a brand owner, I would want to know that. So maybe they'll start selling the brushes individually, guys. I kind of think it's genius because, again, not everybody has an office where they sit and do their makeup. I do a monthly Shop My Stash series where I do pick out some of my makeup and bring it upstairs to my master bathroom because I just don't have the time every time to come down here. Usually I'm like watching my kids, doing my makeup, trying to get my kids ready, sharing a bathroom with my husband. it's a whole situation, and I'm sure a lot of you are also familiar with the situation. Or if you're like going to work and you don't have a lot of time, or you like to sleep in, like there's 100 different reasons why this palette would be perfect for you. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but I definitely think this is a gorgeous palette. So if you want to turn up the heat in the kitchen, check out the High Temp palette from Unearthly. This is so beautiful. I mean, I feel like you guys have heard me sing the praises of Unearthly over and over again. They just have such a good eyeshadow formula. It's one that just works so well for me, one that I love so much. I mean, every single palette in this video, I'm gonna love the formulas. And let me tell you, so far, I think I've tried at least close to 100 palettes so far this year. I try a lot of eyeshadow palettes. It's just what I'm most passionate about, and also blush, and it's just been like the year of blush. So I've tried a lot of things. I'm not sure exactly how many, but I do keep a list of the eyeshadow palettes I've tried every month, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably getting close to at least. It's gotta be over 50, under 100. Don't know off the top of my head the exact numbers. So these are like the creme de la creme, and all you have to do is scroll through my library to see all the eyeshadow palettes I've tried. I put a picture of every eyeshadow palette in the thumbnail, so it should be pretty easy for you guys to visually see how many, and I'm only including 22. Well, I grouped some together, but for the most part, it's like 22 palettes. So these are the best of the best. This one is gorgeous. I literally can't tell you what a great matte formula it is. I love it. It's buildable. It's so pigmented. The reds are so fiery. I'm so here for it. So let me stop blabbering and let me get to the next palette. Okay, I've been pretty critical of Glamlite this year. They've been doing the most, but I will say their little Betty Boop palette did kind of get lost in the sauce this year. I didn't buy this one immediately because I was like, oh, great, like whatever. But it is a beautiful palette. It is my favorite because I love reds, but it's also not like the dreary, weary reds that they did all Halloween. So I thought this was cute. I think this was their Valentine's launch, but I ended up picking it up when I bought, I think I bought the Kiss palette. Now that was a hot mess, not my favorite at all. And I know they're teasing some food themed makeup, so I think that's gonna be their next launch. We'll see what they come out with, but this is a cute palette, and Glamlite always has sales, and I hear they're like blowing up on TikTok, so you could probably get this for a really sweet deal if you're a big Betty Boop fan or you like these eyeshadow shades. Okay, we have to talk about Adept and Cyborg Choir. I love this color story. Adept makes the most beautiful shimmers. Their mattes are not my absolute favorite, not as much as I like the Unearthly mattes, but they're fine. Like a majority of their palettes are shimmer anyway, so it's fine. You can get by. You'll be okay. It's so beautiful. Like, look at these sparkles. I just love me some sparkly blues, some sparkly pinks. I mean, this is just like a summer palette for me, in my humble opinion, and I just ordered their Legends of Audra palette, so I cannot wait for that to come because it has these beautiful marbly shadows. I know that not everybody loves a lot of shimmer heavy palettes, but I think this is an okay balance that they do, and I'm just here for it. I don't know if I'll ever get sick of all the shimmers that they do, but it hasn't happened yet, so I'm just gonna keep on chugging. I love Adept, another women-owned brand, and they just do the most. They're just so innovative, and I'm so happy. And they have like such an identity, and they just do it so well. Okay, y'all, let's talk about Soulmon 2 from Oden's Eye. Now, I will say this is one of my favorite launches from Oden's Eye this year, but if I had to rank it amongst all the palettes I've shown you guys so far, I think this one is a little bit muted, so it's not like my absolute favorite. But if you're talking about like what to get in the brand, this might be a fun one. They've also launched a bunch of other stuff, so I'm going to show you those as well. So this is definitely more of that blue, purpley tones, but a little bit muted. Like, you can definitely amp this up if you want to, but you can also do a really pretty neutral look. That's what I did with my two looks. I did a more fun look and a more kind of like everyday. I hate saying that, but it was like my version of this is what people wear every day. Like, more of the brown shades and the bronzy tones. So check it out if you guys are interested in seeing the full review of this palette. Blend Bunny, she did the damn thing and made a beautiful cool tone palette. This is the Longing palette. I think this is so stunning. Again, this is a great palette if you're into things laid out in gradient. If you don't like a chaotic layout, this is the one for you. I can't remember if these can be rearranged, but this is so beautiful. It's just so melancholy and just so tragic, like she said, but also so beautiful. And this like shade Love Letter is so stunning. It just like transforms all these mattes. So as always, Blend Bunny killed it, and I love it so much. And like, look at this packaging. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm gonna work on a cool tone palette video. I have a pile started. It's just that like time, you know, eventually my kids will grow up and I will have more time, but for right now, this is the best I can do, and I'm okay with it because my kids obviously come first and my YouTube channel comes next. But yeah, I have so many ideas and just need a few more hours in the day. I'm sure you guys can relate as well. Okay, this might be one of the best launches of 2024 so far. These are so good. Like, when I saw neutrals, I was like, what? Why can't every brand do this? Like, it's just so amazing. I think I put the golden palette in here, so you're gonna see it from Natasha. But like, this is the kind of thing Natasha Denona would have done. And now she's in like her neutral era, and I hate it for her. I do, but I also get it. Like, people need to like have their salaries paid, and she needs to keep the lights on. I get it. The masses want the most boring things. I get it. But I'm also like, Natasha, like this, you know what? It's fine, because I'm so much happier that Cosmic Brushes came out with this. Again, another women-owned indie brand out of the UK. And I'm happy for her to get her coin. This is probably the most stunning neutral palette in my collection. I just can't. Like, I wish I had come out with this palette because it's so good. And yeah, the shades are amazing. The formula is amazing. The metallics are amazing. And I believe this one is under 40 bucks. So highly recommend. And then she also came out with a Cool Trolls palette for all the cool trend for all the cool tone gals. Oh my god, I need to go to bed. Anyway, this is also beautiful. I will say I'm less hyped about this one because it is a cool tone palette, but the neutrals palette is hot girl summer. I'm telling you guys, it's so beautiful. Anyway, this one's beautiful too. I'm sorry. I won't say bad things about you, Cool Trolls, because you are beautiful, strong, amazing, kind, and smart, and I love you so much. Those were such good palettes. I feel like I don't even need to explain myself, but if you were contemplating, they are so good. Okay, I know that this palette kind of divided the community. Some people are just like, oh, great, a rainbow palette is so big, but also just like, can we just say, like, Blend Bunny has one of the best rainbow palettes out there. She started with the blends. It's so beautiful. It's an all matte rainbow palette. And then we have this one. This is her collab with Ellis Atlantis, and they just like killed it. This formula, so good. Probably don't need to buy another palette if you have this one, but really that's never true, because if you love eyeshadow palettes as much as I do, you can never have enough of them. This is absolutely stunning. I love it so much. The quality is everything. And yeah, it's the Ellis palette with Blend Bunny. Okay, I feel like I'm cheating a little bit by talking about the Oden singles, but if you are one of those make your own eyeshadow palette girlies, then this is gonna be awesome for you. So of course they always nail the multi-chromes and the duochromes and the fun shimmer shadows, but they also came out with matte eyeshadow singles. So now you can really customize and create some really fun color stories. I think these are beautiful. I really like the empty palettes they did as well. So as always, Oden's kills it, and I had to mention them. I know it's not really an eyeshadow palette, but like I said, it's for the build your own palette galleys. Okay, this is a bit of an indie like wild card in my opinion, but the formula of this is so good. I had to give it a shout out. This is the Wicked Widow and their first IP collab with the movie The Crow. I feel like I'm now part of the Crow gang, even though I still haven't really like watch the movie. I'm a little nervous because it looks a little dark, and like I said, I don't have a ton of time to watch TV, and I was catching up on sappy movies, but this palette is beautiful. It's not for the faint of heart. It's definitely not your like everyday palette. Like, I'm not going to suggest that if you want something you can put on every day, you go for this. I'm sure there's people out there that can do that. I am not a part of that community, but listen, this palette is gorgeous and it's definitely got its place in my makeup collection. So love it so much. Okay, so Bella Beaute Bar also wins like best palette of 2024. The Ultraviolet palette. This is their collaboration with Deanna Nicole. I mean, have you seen the woman's Instagram page? She knows good makeup. She is so beautiful and does the most beautiful makeup, and also honestly gives me like solid advice when it comes to makeup, and she talks a lot about eyeshadow bases and just a woman of color's perspective on makeup. So I'm so happy to follow her page and have it as a resource. I'll try and remember to link her down below for you guys so you can also go check her out. But this is her collaboration with Bella Beaute Bar. I mean, I don't even know that I need to say Bella Beaute Bar has some of the most beautiful metallics and mattes in the indie space. So love that. I think I might love this even more than Deandra's palette, only because these metallics are so sexy. Like, this came out around Valentine's Day. This is their Dead Roses palette. And I remember seeing this and the sneak peeks, and I was like, it's like pink. Like, it's very pink. I don't get it. But the metallics are like duochromes, and they are the ones that like set this palette ablaze. They're so good. It's not like a sunset eye palette, but it's just like, it's like romantic but also tragic. It's got a perfect balance of like happy and sad, and it's also themed in like death and love, and I kind of just am so here for it. So yeah, this is a really good palette, and I can see this being great for everyday eye looks too if you're into using pinks and reds. Okay, so I have to talk about the Secret Garden palette as well, because again, you know I love greens. And listen, Bella Beaute Bar's got us with some greens and some pinks. You definitely feel like you're in a little garden. Now, I'm actually thinking about this one and the palette I have on today. Let me just show them to you side by side, because the Botanical palette is definitely like the more muted sister to the Secret Garden. So if you just want something more vibrant, I would definitely go with the Secret Garden. This next to this one makes me want to throw this one in the trash. That's so mean, but it's so true. Again, the metallics in this palette are so stunning, and I know they have a new collection coming out. They have like an ice cream collection, and I cannot freaking wait. Another one of my favorite brands of 2024 and my favorite palettes of 2024. Of course, I have to give my friend Amy a shout out. Me and Amy go way, way back, and I'm so happy to call her my friend. We've been friends for a long time. It was so fun to see her this year. It's been a lifetime, but it also feels like no time had passed. And she showed me this palette in New Orleans, and I couldn't be more excited for her to have her own palette with Adept. She loves the brand, and she created a cool tone palette of her dreams. This palette is so beautiful. The shade Lavender sets my heart on fire, and I'm so happy that I have this, and congratulations to Amy and Adept on this beautiful cool tone palette. Okay, let's talk about another palette that I got to see in New Orleans. This is the Spring Magic palette from Unearthly, and this is so beautiful. Again, Amanda puts a lot of thought into her palette layout, so you can use them as trios, you can use them as quads, you can go down the entire row if you want to create eye looks. So I think she's such a genius in that sense for makeup, and her style and her thought process is so wonderful. It's so nice to see brand owners that are also super genuinely into makeup, as in they'd like do the looks themselves. I like seeing that. I know it's not for every brand owner, and that's totally fine. Obviously, each their own, but I can really appreciate how Amanda also uses her makeup, and she also uses makeup from other brands, and it's so thoughtful the way she places her pans in each palette. I think that's wonderful, and I can celebrate that. And also, in case you didn't know, Unearthly is a women-owned indie brand, so always love supporting the indie gals. Okay, we're back with another Nomad palette. I gotta give it to the New Zealand Stargazing palette. This is so pretty. These are my vibes. I'm here for the jewel tone mattes. Okay, my camera cut me off, but I was saying I think this palette is so beautiful and I just love it so much. I love the blues and purples and then the lighter tones, and I just think this is a great contrasting palette. I also think this would pair really well with the Ireland palette, so that's something that I need to like put in my bank of looks that I need to try. Nomad really did such a great job with this palette as well. Okay, so I really just am not into pastels, so I'm so sorry I didn't include Judy's palette, but I feel like it would be disingenuous if I did because I just don't think that palette works with me. But I have to mention the Annette and Fancy Face palettes from their Oden's Eye collections this year. So Fancy Face, oh my gosh, she is iconic. I've been following her for so long. And again, I got to meet her at Creator and Friends, so I should have bought this palette with me and had her sign it. But anyways, that's the whole story for another day. Meeting your favorite YouTube creators. I can't tell you enough how much I enjoyed myself meeting all these iconic people that I feel like I know. But anyways, this palette, this green shade, so good. It's a bit of a confetti layout, I will say. I had to do some mental gymnastics to kind of get it together, but you can do a beautiful green look. You can do a beautiful neutral look. There's some fun pops of color in there as well. I feel like Tina is the queen of color, and she did such a good job with this, and I really like Mighty Monsters from Annette as well. I will say her Great Wolves palette is probably my favorite palette from all 6 of the palettes that group did. But this one's cute too. I'm a sucker for a good matte green shade, so that immediately made me happy. I don't know if these are all still available, but if they are and you've been thinking about them, maybe grab them while they're still available. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have the Groovy Gardens palette from Ensley Rain. Now they just showed their 2 new palettes that they're coming out with. I think it's like Flutter and Flourish, I believe. But Groovy Gardens is just so beautiful. Again, another grungy, kind of spicy, neutrally palette. Kind of reminds me of the Moonshroom. Not color-wise, but just like the same concept of those like baby poop colors. So yeah, I think this is a beautiful palette, and Ensley Rain also has one of my favorite shimmer formulas out here in the streets. So very happy with that particular palette. Can't wait to see what else all of these brands have in store for the rest of the year. Okay, so that is it for my favorite palettes of 2024 so far. I need you guys to do me a favor. Let me know what your favorite palette of 2024 so far is, in case I haven't tried it. I need to add it to my list. And yeah, who says eyeshadow is dead? Like, fuck that person. They're wrong. I'm still here. You're still here. We love eyeshadow palettes. Let's support each other on this journey, okay, to be colorful queens. If you missed my reminder at the start of the video, don't forget to enter my monthly giveaway. And I think that's it. I feel like I've droned on about eyeshadow enough. So I hope you guys are having a fabulous day, and I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye, friends!